This is my sundial test jig that I made out of paper. I plan on making a sundial out of concrete eventually. The first one I make will be out of wood. And when I do the concrete one, I plan on cutting it in reverse into foam and then pouring the concrete and letting it set and dry, of course. But anyway, I need to check this design that I did. I did this on VCarve. I'll show you how I drew this out. But anyway, each location has its unique settings on it. This one's set up for my location, 41 degrees. And I just wanted to be sure everything's okay before I move ahead. I'll take you into the computer room and show you how I made this, and hopefully we'll get cutting a piece out today. So let's get started. I don't think I have to tell you what a sundial is or does, but I'll go ahead and briefly describe it here. It's a device for telling the time of day based on the sun's position in the sky. It has markings on it, and a shadow is cast from the device and lands onto the markings. It's accurate within a couple minutes, and they've been around since like 3500 BC. They've greatly improved over the years, and there's quite a few features that you can actually add on a sundial. The one that I plan to make is going to be quite basic. I plan on eventually making it out of concrete or other hard surface by casting it. The CAD program that we're going to be using today is VCarve Pro, and I chose it because it's very good at handling graphics. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to draw it up in VCarve Pro. We're going to go ahead and go to the CNC machine and cut one out of wood. And I'm going to use it for a while, and once I'm satisfied, I'll cut another one in reverse using foam and then cast it. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is figure out what our latitude of our location that the sundial will be at, and then we can get the degrees that we need to set the indicator marks. Here's a link that I'll put in the description. It's called anycalculator.com horizontal sundial, and this is a horizontal, of course. There's verticals as well as other kinds, but this will be the horizontal. This is the calculator here, and you put your latitude in this box, and then all the time angles will appear in these boxes. And you can look down through here. It shows you how to actually make it and draw your angles and begin building this. So this is a pretty nice site. So let's come back up here. If you don't know your latitude, you can click on this link right here and look up your latitude for your zip code. I already looked up mine, and mine's 41 degrees. So if I type in 41 and hit calculate, all these boxes fill in. So like 9 o'clock a.m. and 3 p.m. will be at 33.27 degrees. So we need this information to use to start drawing this. Okay, let's go to our VCarve and begin drawing it. Okay, I've got my VCarve Pro opened up and we're ready to start drawing this. Let's go to File and New. And I want to go ahead and make it as big as I can for my CNC, which would be 20 inches square basically. So I'm going to put in 20 for my width and 20 for my height. And for my thickness, I'm going to go ahead and use 3/4 of an inch. And the center of my 0, 0 I normally have down here at the left corner. But since I'm dealing with radiuses and angles, I'm going to go ahead and pick the center point here. Okay, and we're working in inches. Go ahead and hit OK. So this is our work area here. And dead zero is 0, 0. And that's also what we're going to base our angles off. Let's go back to our chart that we have. And you can see that at high noon, the sundial is 0 degrees. So we can come back to our drawing. Okay, we're at our drawing. I can get the line tool. We can start right at 0 degrees and just go ahead and draw a line straight up. And we can release that by hitting escape. Now I should go ahead and probably draw a radius, so let's go to the circle tool, and we're going to start that right in the center. So I'm going to make sure I'm right dead center and click, and I'm going to go ahead and make that a radius of 10, which would be a diameter of 20. So let's hit apply. That'll fill up nicely, and close that. Okay, let's go back to our chart and see what other markings we need. Now keep in mind, this line right here, if there's a shadow right there, that'll be 12 o'clock, dead noon. Alright, here's our chart. Let's go ahead and do the 6 and 6 o'clock, so 6 p.m.s. That'll be at 90 degrees, you can see right here. I'm going to only draw one side of this because we can copy the other side. So I'm going to come in here, get my line tool, start right in the center, and draw straight out. That'll be 6 a.m. Now I can go ahead and draw this line here too if I want, but like I said, I'm just going to make up this side and then I'll copy it. So I can release it and stay in my polyline tool by hitting the space bar. Let's do that. Let's find our next position. Let's go back to our calculations. We're looking for the hours. I think what I'm going to do is break this down to half hours and hours. So I'm going to take every half hour. So here's the first one, 4.94. So I'm going to go to my drawing. I'm going to start in the center, and I'm looking for 4.94, and you can see that's following my line is the angle, and I can move it. I'm going to zoom in just a little. So I'm looking for 4.9 right there. You can see, click. Okay, let's go ahead and hit the space bar again. So that's a half hour marking. So that would be 6:30 for that one. Let's go to our next one. The next time would be right here, 9.97. Go back to the drawing, click. 9.97, 9.9 right there, click. Okay, I'm gonna hit the space bar. Let's go to the next one. You get the idea what's going on here. This is the next 30 mark. Now if you notice, it's really you know, it's saying it's 11 o'clock, but I'm not centering my angle as they are, so my angles will still be the same. It's just it'll be a different time at that angle. So the next one will be at 15.2. So let's go to the drawing and click. I'm looking for 15.2, which is right. Now if you zoom in a little bit more, you can actually get a little bit more precise. I could also type it in this box over here, but I just choose to drop it. Okay, there's that one. Got the 15.2. Let's go back. Alright, here's the next half hour, 20.75. So okay, so I've got all my angles in here, and all I need to do is go ahead and just copy them to the other side here, and I don't have to, you know, go all the way around this side. So I'm going to go ahead and choose my first line right here, and then I'm just going to hold my shift down and begin selecting all these lines. And I don't need a duplicate of that one. So we're going to come up to this mirror tool here. Click. Want to make sure that we're creating a mirrored copy, and we're going to go to the right. Bingo. Look at that. And close. Very good. So we have all our lines in here. So this first one would be 6, 6:37, 7:38, 8:39, 9:30, 10, 10:30, 11, 11:30, noon, 12:30, 1, 1:30, 2, 2:30, 3, 3:30, 4, 4:30, 5, 5:30, and 6. Now what we can do to tidy this up is go ahead and cut these loose ends of our lines. So let's go ahead and get our trim tool, which is our little scissors here, and we can just snip these little lines off, just like this. Okay, that's a pretty good start to our sundial. Let's go ahead and save it for anything bad happens. We'll call it Sundial 1. Save. Alright. Okay, I'd like to go ahead and put some indicators on here for the time. First, I want to put like another circle here. So let's hit the circle tool, and I'm going to find my dead center again. Let's zoom in so I can see what I'm doing. There's 0. And the radius on this, I want it to be about 8.5. We'll try. Let's hit apply. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, let's close that. Okay, so let's pop some numbers in there so that we know what these lines mean. I'm going to hit the text tool here, and I'm going to put in the number 6 for 6 a.m. and close that. You can see my 6 is right here. I'm just going to pull it over here. And this is my first one, so I'm going to go ahead and make sure that this is the way I want it, and then I'm just going to simply copy. Now 6 will be right on that line. I'm going to go ahead and hit my Control and my C key, which will copy that, and then I'm going to hold Control and V to paste it. And now I've got another 6 here that I'm going to move up to my 12 position and make sure that I've got my size right. That's about the right size. Let's go ahead and hit my text button. Now I can change that to 12 and apply, so you can see how that works. So I can basically just do that again, copy the 6, Control C, and then Control V, and then it will be right here, and then I can just drag these to where I need them to be. Let's make a bunch of them. You know, that way all the numbers will be the same size, and then I can just come back and change the number itself. There we go. Now I can just come in here and adjust them the way I want them to be so that they're aligned properly. I think that's pretty good. Oops. That looks pretty good. Now what I can do is go ahead and take my trim tool again here, trim the vectors, and I can just come in here and chop out that line so it's not interfering with the numbers. Alright, I think that's looking pretty good so far. And you'll notice too that the numbers here at the top have more space in between them than they do down at the early AM and PM markings, and that is for my position of 41 degrees. Let's go ahead and add some more text since we're doing that. Before I do that, I'd like to go ahead and offset this ring so that I have a double ring, and we can do that with the offset tool, which is here. And I'm going to go inward, and 0.2 is about right. I think that'll work. Let's try it. It looks pretty good. So now you can see I'll have a double ring here, and I should go ahead and probably use my scissors again and trim that little tiny line. Let me go ahead and add some more text on here. I'm going to hit the text button, and I'm going to click in the text box, and I'm going to put the position, I'm going to say, and that way this sundial will actually have a a badge on it that says what position this sundial's for. And I want to put a little indicator here for the poles. Let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to make like a star. And I want 8 points on my star, so we'll go with 8. And let's put our center point right in here somewhere. And make it a little bit bigger. Let's see here. We'll make it 2 inches. Does that look right? Looks pretty good. Let's close that. And now I can copy these again if I want to. Copy and paste. I do this copy paste thing so that all my numbers and letters and everything are, you know, the same size. Otherwise, if you make new text, you might get different sizes. Okay, so this is north. There, looks better. This will be our east, south, and I'm just hitting apply in between, and west. Good. Okay, I left this space under here because I wanted to put a message about daylight savings time. In daylight savings time, you would actually have to add an hour to each of these times during the summer months between March and November. So if you don't want to rotate this out in the sun, you're going to have to just add an hour, and that's what I choose to do. You could certainly make the base so you could rotate it though, but I'm going to go ahead and put a message on there. So I'm going to go ahead and hit my text tool here, and I'm going to put in that message, and I'm going to apply. So this is the message that I want to add inside this circle here. I'm going to go ahead and shrink up that text just a little bit so that it's not so long, so big. Looks pretty good, right about there. Okay, so now I can take this text and put it inside this circle by wrapping it to the curve. And here's the tool here, wrap to the curve. And if I select my circle and my text, you can see I can go above the curve, on the curve, or below the curve. I want to go above the curve so that it fits in this area, so let's apply that. And there it is. Look at that. And I can also click this button right here and scale it so it's a little bit smaller, so that it doesn't take up so much room. Maybe right in there. So it changes the font style. And you know, there's a ton of settings you can do in here. And I'm going to apply that and close that. Let's get a look at this real close up. Now when I bent the text, you can see that some of these letters are touching. And that's not a problem. I can go in and fix that. Let's go ahead and get our spacing tool here. And if I click on the text, I can use my shift key, and I can click if I want more space added. I can hold the shift key, or subtract, I can let go of it. So I'm just coming in here and clicking around and adding a little space here, a little space there, so that it looks right to me. Okay, so I found a piece of clip art and I want to paste it in here. There it is up here. It's a picture of a sun. And I want to take that and put it in the center here, you know, something like that. So let's go ahead. It's a bitmap right now, so I'm going to take it off to the side here and we're going to convert it. And we can use our trusty tool here, the trace bitmap function. And I'm just going to preview that. Take a look at it. Looks pretty good. And apply it. And we can close it. And if I go to my bitmap layer, I can turn that off because I really don't need it. And then it's left me with the actual vectors And I won't need the center part either. Let's go ahead and delete that out of there. So that looks pretty good. So now I can go ahead and take that and move it into my area here and pull on the corners till I get it the way I want it. And again, it's like an art project. Now see how this is hitting the north down here? But I really don't want to make it too much smaller. What I could do is actually rotate this. So if I click on this, I can actually just spin it. See what it will look like. So I could make that a little bit smaller there, or edit it. Let me pull in on it just a little bit more. Looks pretty good. I like it. I'll rotate it back this way just a little. You can see it's hitting my north a little, but I can move that down just a little, like that. See what that'll look like. Yep, I have room to do it. I could actually, you know, make this a little bit smaller too if I have to. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm happy with the graphics. Let's start with our tool paths. This is where the real magic happens and where the project comes to life. This is my favorite part. So let's go ahead and click on the toolpath tab. And the first thing I want to do is set up my material, make sure that's correct. And right here, I'm going to have to change my setting for my top of my stock. It was set for the bottom. I want to make sure it's to the top. It's 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to go ahead and put the 0, reference here in the corner, and my rapids and my plunge look okay, and my home look fine. So I'm going to go ahead and keep those. Now I'm going to go ahead and start a VCarve. I'll click that push pin to keep that open. Here's my VCarve bit. Now I'm going to select everything that I want to cut out with my V bit. I want to pretty much cut everything except for the cutout and a couple other little things I'm going to do here. So I'm just going around and picking items. I can always uncheck them later if I decide I don't want to cut those. Let's go ahead and calculate and see if there's any problems with this. So it's passed the test, that's good. Sometimes if your graphic's too big, it will cut through the material. It didn't warn us in this case, so everything looks good. We can go ahead and preview the toolpath and see if we like it. Looking pretty snazzy. So there it is. That's what we have so far. I think that's really good. Now, for these lines, I wanted to do something a little bit different. Let me show you what I want to do with those. Alright, so let's go back to our artwork. What I would like to do on these lines that indicate the time is to do some fluting on them. And this is a feature of VCarve Pro that's really neat. Fluting is where typically a ball nose bit will go in slightly and it'll get deeper as it goes, and then it will pull back out of the hole. You can have tapers on two sides or just one, and it's usually thicker in the center. Sometimes it can taper out of the hole. I'll show you all the options. So let's go ahead and choose our lines first of all. We're going to go ahead and choose the minute, the half hour, and the hour lines. I'm not going to choose the first and second one and end one because we're going to do something a little different with those. Okay, so I have my lines selected. Let's open our toolpath tab and pin it down. And I'm going to choose the fluting option. And and that's right here, fluting. And as soon as I hit the fluting option, you can see these green dots here, and that shows you where the starting point of the flute will be. You can change the starting point, but for now I'm going to show you what it looks like here. It's actually the wrong way. I want the flute to be the other way, but I'll show you just as an example. So the flute depth I want to be a 1/4 inch. We're going to use a ball nose 1/4 inch, which I have. And then you have your choice I was talking about earlier. I'm going to ramp over the complete length, but you can also ramp at the start and ramp at the start and end, and actually give a percentage in the length. There's types such as the linear and smooth. We're just going to leave it like it is and do our calculation here. I'm going to go ahead and preview that tool path so you get a look at what it's going to look like here. So remember, the green dot was down here. It's starting out of the hole at 0, 0, and then it's digging in as it goes. And that's actually the opposite of what I wanted. You can see, let me zoom in here so you can see. Give you an idea what it looks like. But I want to go ahead and reverse that. So let's go back to our graphic and our fluting. I'm going to go ahead and go into node editing mode, and I can left click, and that'll be right here, node editing mode. And if I click on this, I have the green mark here, and if I click this one, these all are set up for the same way, of course, because I copied them. So if you want to change that, all you have to do is put your mouse over here to the other side and hit the P key, and that reverses it. Now my green mark's over here. So I just have to go through these and change the starting point. Now I could leave it the way it was, it still looked nice, but I wanted it to look like a sun, you know, like the rays coming out for our markers. So let me get these all fixed up here. Very good. Alright, let's go back to our 3D view. And if you get a good look at that, I'm going to go ahead and clear the preview, and we're going to go ahead and do another one. Now what I have to do is recalculate this because I did change it. Okay, it should be recalculated. I'm going to go ahead and reset the preview and re-preview all the tool paths. Let's see what we have. So there's our VCarve. And there, now you can see it digs in deep here in the middle, and then as it goes out, it gradually lifts up the ball nose bit to give us that flute look. And that's exactly what I wanted. Now that we're starting to preview this, I can see I've got things a little close here. This AM and PM are a little bit too close, but that's no problem. I can just click on them and move them around a little bit, or make them smaller depending on what works. That might be a little bit too far away. We'll go up just a little bit. There we go. Let's go ahead and recalculate that VCarve. And get another look at it. We'll reset the preview one more time. And let's go again. So daylight savings time is between March 9th through November 2nd. And daylight savings time was actually invented because they were trying to get more daylight hours out of summer for certain events. And there's been big controversy about it ever since, and there's been talk about putting it back the way it was, but I don't see that happening soon, but that was definitely a man-made decision there. Okay, so you can see the fluting looks good and my AM and PM are clearing. The only thing that I have left to do is to put this line back in, this circle, and then this line here. The reason why I left that out is because of the fluting. I wanted to do a different type of cut on there, so let's work on that now. Okay, so I'm going to click on the drawing. This is the part we're going to work on, is this line, and you can see it's one continuous line. It starts here. Actually, it starts here because of the green line, and it goes around, then it comes over here. And I want to do a different flute on that. I want to take the flute from the center, dig in deep, and then go out gradually on the side. So we're going to do a second flute on that. So let me close this and go back into my fluting tool. And we're going to start at 0 and end at a 1/4 inch, just like we did before with the 1/4 inch ball nose bit. But this time we're going to ramp at the start and end right here. And again, that'll dig in deep in the middle and then go out to the sides. Let me go ahead and calculate that. And we're going to preview that one and see what it looks like. So now we've got that same effect that we have on the other ones. It's thin here to thick, all the way around, and then thin again. Just so you can see what it will look like if I had chose this first one and calculate. Let me go ahead and reset my preview. I'm going to go ahead and preview them all, and you'll see the difference and the reason why I did that. I think it's a pretty good looking sundial. I'm pretty proud of it. I like it. Now if it just keeps time, that's all that matters. And what I'll do when I make my concrete one in the end, I'll reverse everything and cut it in foam. Here comes that flute. So you can see it pulled out here and then it went in nice and thick, but it's not symmetrical. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that, change it back to the way it was. And I can change my percentage here of what I would like it if I don't want it to go all the way out of the hole. So we'll just calculate that, and I'll re-preview it one last time. While this is previewing, I think the only thing we have left to do is cut it out. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut it out as a circular shape. I thought about doing a hexagon or an octagon, but I think round would be better. That way you could put it on a pedestal, like a bird bath pedestal. I think would look really nice in the garden. So let's just wait for this real quick. And there's our flute. Looking good. Looking real good. Everything matches. So let's do one more tool path. This will be the cutout for it. So we can close this and go back to our drawing. I'm going to go ahead and select the outside ring. This is what we're going to cut out. And I'm going to choose the profile tool path. And I'm going to go all the way through the material. And it's set up here for, what is it? We're going to go all the way through the material. So I'm going to cut it 0.78. Our material is only 7.5, but I want it to make sure it cuts it out completely. I'm going to use the 1/4 inch end mill, and I'm going to go around the outside, okay? And I can add tabs and stuff on this later. I just want to get a preview right now, so let's calculate. It's warning me it's going to cut through the material, that's fine. We use a sacrificial board underneath the piece, so it'll cut into that, it'll be fine. So there's our tool path. Let's go ahead and preview the selected tool path. That'll just give us the nice cutout. And it takes it down into steps, so you're not digging all that material out of there in one fall swoop. And we can click on the extra pieces here, just double click on them and they'll go away. And then we can get a good look at what it will be. Looks nice. Kind of looks like a dartboard, doesn't it? Let's go ahead and hit our 3D view here. Look at that. That's one fine sundial. The only thing we have left to do is I want to groove a slot in this so that we can position our shadow making device. And we haven't talked about that yet, but that is called a gnomon. And it's a triangular device that's also cut at 41 degrees. And we'll have to build one of those real quick too, but I want to put a 1/4 inch slot in here to accommodate that. Cutting it out. Now, if you've noticed, I'm cutting it out before I put the gnomon slot in there, so I have to change this profile and this pocket around. That's easy enough to do. I'll show you that as soon as this is done. And then of course it's going to cut the slot, so that's a little bit backwards. And also I have to recalculate that anyway. So let me take my pocket and move it up one. There we go. And then let's click on pocket and recalculate that because I resized it. Let's reset and preview again. The last thing that you normally want to happen is the profile will be cut out. So that's why I changed the order. Getting our fluting. And then it's going to do the other fluting on the bottom. And then cut out our slot for our gnomon. And finally, do the cutout. And if you notice, right here where the slot is, we still have that fluting effect. That looks really nice coming out the top of that. I'm going to leave that like that. Alright, let's undo our unwanted pieces here by double clicking on them. We'll put it in a 3D view here. Get a look at it. Well, there it is. This drawing took quite a bit longer than I thought, but it was worth it. I think what I'm going to do is leave the video right here, and I'll begin cutting this another day, and it will be another video coming real soon. And we'll go ahead and make the sundial next. So I know this was a lot, but hopefully you learned something about drawing parts and using VCarve. Even if you're not using VCarve, these same steps apply to a lot of CAD drawing programs, so it's not a total loss if you don't have the program. I do encourage you to go over to Vectrix.com though and look at this software. They have a trial version, and it's very inexpensive for what it is, and you'll enjoy it. So thanks for watching. As usual, I'll see you next time, and we'll cut this part out. Bye for now.